Hello YouTube. So today I was watching a video by someone calling himself ShockOfGod. Basically, if you don't know who he is an ex-atheist who was converted to Christianity. Now in this video he explains his testimony of why he converted and what he calls the lie of atheism to the truth of Jesus. He basically says that he had challenged some of his Christian friends to prove that Christianity was accurate and correct. And he says that they did provide substantial and sufficient proof and evidence which shows that the life of Jesus was true and that Jesus did actually live, and other various information. Then his Christian friends asked him a question which he couldn't answer, and it's the same question that he now poses to other atheists, and he claims that, as you'll see in a second when I show you the clip of his testimony video, that no atheist can answer this question. Now, obviously, if you look at the video responses, there are a lot of atheists who have tried to answer this question, but maybe he doesn't think that these answers are good enough, or whatever. But anyway, I was very interested when I heard this question. When I heard it, I was in class with some of my friends. I go to university in the United Kingdom, the UK, and I study religion and religious history. And in my class, there was a whole diversity of people from all different faiths, and there are atheists and Christians in there as well. I'm actually studying Buddhism. I am actually a practicing Buddhist in the UK. Now, one of the things that struck me in this video and that I was very interested by is how he compares atheism and Christianity, as you'll see in a sec in this clip.
What proof and evidence can you provide that proves Christianity is accurate and correct? Well, my Christian friends, they also asked me the same question. How do I know atheism is accurate and correct?
As you can see, he questions them about Christianity, and they reply by asking him about atheism. And it was here that I realised the fundamental problem with his question and why it is very difficult for people to answer it. You cannot compare a religion and a view. They are two completely separate things. What I think I should ask them is what proof and evidence there is for theism, not Christianity. And that's what he should have asked them. What proof and evidence can you provide for theism being correct, not Christianity? Atheism is not a religion. I am an atheist, yet I am religious. I am a practicing Zen Buddhist. And his misinterpreted understanding of atheism is this is what the flaw in his question is. When you start to get into this question, you realise just how wrong it is and how it doesn't make sense at all, and how you really need to understand what atheism is before you start asking people about it, because he's comparing it to a religion, and atheism is not a religion. You can be religious, yet you can be atheist. I am religious and I am atheist. They are not the same. They are completely different. One is a view, one is a religion. Now I'll play another little clip now of him asking his killer question before I attempt to answer it.
What proof and evidence can you provide that proves atheism is accurate and correct? And do you know that not one atheist, not one, has been able to provide proof and evidence that proves atheism is accurate?
So there is the question. Now, what is so very, very wrong about this question, and it shocks me that people actually think that this question proves atheism wrong, is that he's asking people to provide evidence for something that they don't believe in to begin with. The definition of theism is with God, and the definition of atheism means without God. So a Buddhism is an atheistic religion, and it simply means a religion without God. Now ask yourself how you're meant to prove something that you don't believe in to begin with. It makes absolutely no sense. It should be the other way around. It should be atheists asking theists to provide proof or evidence, because theists actually believe in God. And then if an atheist thinks that the proof is sufficient for God, then he can consider becoming a theist. It just does not work the other way around. It should be reworded as something like provide proof that there isn't a God. And now even that question is a bit odd. However, this one can be answered, and it makes exactly the same point. The reason I don't believe in a God is because the reasons that theists give for there being a God can be explained in a more understandable way to me. For example, a theist might say that you can prove God by looking around you at the earth. As God created it, that is proof for God. The earth being there and you being here is proof enough for God. To me, this is not proof. The Big Bang can explain this. Matter was pushed out and pulled together by gravity to form big rocks which became planets because they were held together by gravity and mass. There is evidence for this theory as our solar system is gradually moving away from the centre of the universe, which is evidence for the Big Bang. Now, a theist would probably say, well, how did that matter get there in the first place? If you do believe in the Big Bang, such as Concordist Christians, then God must have put that matter there. Then who put God there? You know, it's the same problem. It's silly. Who put God there? All they would say is that God is timeless and endless. That's not proof. God is timeless and endless. If God can be timeless and endless, then why couldn't the matter be that was there in the first place? It makes absolutely no sense at all. God is just an excuse for an answer that cannot be answered otherwise. Why are we here? God. Who put us here? God. Who created the universe? God. As an honest man, I am prepared to say that I believe in the Big Bang. I don't know how that matter got there. How could I? How could anyone? Just saying God is not proof. Be fair with yourself and say actually you don't know. No one expects you to know because seriously, how could you know? We weren't there all that time ago. There is no need trying to create an answer because actually no one knows. The fact that we're here is not proof for God. The reason I'm atheist is because there is no proof for God, and it's just as simple as that. I bet you that every atheist would say that there is no proof for God in response to, why are you atheist? As for what proof is there in atheism, it's utterly a stupid question. It's correct to be an atheist if you see no evidence in God. Why would you believe in something that there is no proof for? However, this does not mean I'm agnostic, because I do not believe in God at all. No one should believe in something that there is no evidence for. Imagine yourself in a courtroom. Someone's been convicted of murder. It is the prosecutor's job to prove that he committed the crime, not the defendant's job to prove that he did it. It's the same with Shock's question. As a theist, you should be the one providing evidence that there is a God, not atheists. Why should atheists provide proof that it's something they don't believe in? Atheists should ask the theists what proof there is for believing in God, just as in the courtroom, as the defendants will ask the prosecutor what proof they have that shows they committed the murder. So to summarise, what proof and evidence is there which proves that atheism is accurate and correct? Simply the proof that there is no evidence for God. If Shock of God, or in fact any theist, can provide me with proof that there is a God, I am willing to challenge my own beliefs. But simply trying to prove that Jesus existed is irrelevant. If you do decide to become theist, then you don't have to be Christian. What about following Islam or Hinduism or any other religion that believes in a God? That's the common belief, and that's that belief in a God. And that is why atheism is not part of this. Why am I atheist? Because there is no proof and evidence for God. And what proof and evidence is there that atheism is correct? There is no proof or evidence for a God.